I am Robot. Hello, folks. Welcome back to Land of Picks, our weekly betting show on the Land of 10 Facebook page. My name's Steven Petrella, joined as always by my co-host Christopher Smith. And today we're going to talk championship week. Fewer games, but of course the excitement's there.
Yeah, I got my ring sized, my ring finger sized, all ready to go. I'm expecting a lot of rings for championship week.
Yeah, absolutely.
Coaches, sit them right here.
Yeah, and playoff implications abound. Pretty much every championship game except maybe the Pac-12 has some implications. So what's your playoff four looking like? What do you think it'll be on Sunday?
I'm rooting for chaos, to be honest with you. Yeah. I hope TCU beats Oklahoma. Oh, yeah. I don't think that's likely. I think Oklahoma wins in their end. I think Clemson wins in their end. And then it comes down to the Big Ten champion, either Wisconsin or Ohio State, of course. And then if all that happens and there isn't a lot of chaos, Alabama's out. Yep. So if you're a Big Ten fan at home rooting for Alabama to be out of the playoff, then you want Oklahoma to win, I guess.
Absolutely.
But I'm all for chaos. I want to see the world on fire. This is probably the most interesting playoff we've had since the playoff system came about because of all the parity this year.
Yeah, a lot of, we'll probably see a two-loss team in. And I think this is what it's all about. Like, don't go to 8 teams, in my opinion. That makes this weekend so much less important. Like, you go to 8 teams, Alabama's in, Ohio State's in, or Wisconsin's in if they lose, Clemson's in if they lose, and I think that just makes
Notre Dame, and nobody wants that.
Nobody wants that, and that just makes November and this first weekend of December a lot less fun. So let's get into it. Let's take a look at results from last week of the Big Ten regular season. Finally, good week. Finished the season strong. Just kind of goes to show the margins are so slim in the sports betting game. One last week gets me to a decent percentage for the year. A bad week would have dropped me well below 50%, but happy to be in that.
Look at that, 4-0-1.
Yeah, happy to be in that 54-55% range for the season. And we'll try to keep it going through this weekend, and then bowl season will provide us some interesting opportunities as well. So let's take a look at the lines for championship week, the Power 5 lines. Of course, you got 5 games now at the Big 12, bringing back a championship. Oklahoma, of course, a 7-point favorite over TCU, and I think that's kind of the game that could cause the most intrigue, like you said, in the playoff. Likely Oklahoma takes care of business, but it's college football. Weird stuff happens. Of course, Auburn, short favorite. They smoked Georgia last time. Clemson, that line has gone up from 6.5, 7 to 9. A lot of people think the Tigers will handle the Hurricanes, who lost to Pitt last week, and generally have played more close games than they should have against bad teams. Of course, they've beaten some good teams, but I think one thing I look at in that Miami game is they haven't played a good quarterback. They've played some good teams like Notre Dame, Virginia Tech, 2 good teams, but they haven't played an elite quarterback. Not that Kelly Bryant, I would call him elite, but it seems like he's healthy now. A lot of public money on Clemson kind of driving that line up. And then, of course, the game we all want to see in the Big Ten, Wisconsin, Ohio State. Ohio State, 6.5-point favorite right now. You think Wisconsin's ranked a little higher. They're undefeated. Ohio State's shown some cracks and flaws, but all the advanced numbers love Ohio State. They've killed bad teams, and Buckeyes a 6.5-point favorite.
Yeah, it's the unbeaten who ain't played nobody against the team that gave up 55 to Iowa, but also crushed Penn State and Michigan State. Mm-hmm. So, is this a game that you feel comfortable about betting on? Is there a side that you feel like good about, or is this something that you're not going to put a huge amount on?
I don't think it's a massive play for me, but I'm on Wisconsin. The phrase and actually betting on the team this week. I think that this team, despite not playing anybody, has really, really taken care of business. They have, so there is number we like to use from Football Study Hall, win expectancy. So regardless of the score, based on the yards and the stats, turnovers, what's your percentage chance you would have won the game in a vacuum? And besides the Michigan game for Wisconsin, their win expectancy has been 99% or better in all of their games. their margin of victory, according to those same numbers, in every game except the Michigan game, at least 20 points. So even like Northwestern was a close game. Based on the stats, they should have won by 20. So I think this Wisconsin team is really, really good. Ohio State, of course, is as well, but this was Wisconsin's year to make a run. The defense took a big step forward. The offense got better from last year, from a really good team. So I like Wisconsin in this game.
Certainly the rest of college football has certainly done its part. We talked about 2 lost teams being in the mix for the college football playoff. It's a perfect year for a team that doesn't have the best schedule to run the table and be in the conversation. To me, the only thing, if to be contrarian a little bit to Steve here, the only thing I would worry about a little bit with Wisconsin is, can their offense score at all? Hornibrook's thrown some pick sixes. Obviously, Jonathan Taylor's been a monster running the ball. Ohio State seems to be pretty good up front on defense. So to me, like, is that the one thing, if you're a little nervous about betting on Wisconsin, that you'd maybe be afraid of?
Yeah, definitely. I think Hornibrook's, he's 7.9 yards per attempt, one of the tops in the Big Ten, completing 64% of his passes. Those are solid numbers. He hasn't been asked to do a whole lot, but where he's had trouble is when he's under pressure, and he's thrown 13 interceptions, which for an undefeated number 4 team in the country, it's kind of seems like a little bit of a high number. So that's obviously, that's a big fear. Wisconsin's offensive line, as always, is really, really strong, both protecting the pass and for the run. And I think this game might actually come down to quarterback play. JT Barrett hurt last weekend against Michigan. Came out today that he had knee surgery earlier in the week and that he's still going to play.
There's a good reason to bet on Wisconsin. Ohio State's starting quarterback had knee surgery Sunday.
Right, and he's going to play on Saturday. Barrett's a tough guy, but there's one kind of interesting game flow, game planning thing I was looking at this morning, and in all of the games where Ohio State has, I don't want to say struggled because they played really well against Penn State, but Oklahoma, Iowa, and Michigan State, JT Barrett has run the ball at least 10 times. He ran it 12 times against Michigan before going out with an injury, so he was on pace for probably about 20 carries. And when they can't throw the ball, which has happened a bunch of times this season against good defenses, and Wisconsin probably is the best pass defense in the country, when they can't throw the ball, they work in a lot of design runs for Barrett, and he's very efficient. He's 6, 7, 8-yard chunks, 2 explosive running backs. But if Barrett can't move like he normally can, I think this Wisconsin defense could have a field day against him. If he's really limited by his knee issues, which we don't know, we'll see on Saturday. But if he is limited, that takes a big part of Ohio State's game plan, and one of the things that sort of eases the tension on their sometimes struggling pass game. So I think that's a big thing to watch. If Barrett can't move in the first half, you might, depending on the score, you might want to look at the second half line, because this Wisconsin defense can rush the pass, and they defend really, really well in the secondary. It's a very, very physical secondary. They take a lot of penalties, but I think that havoc is going to give Ohio State's receivers a lot of trouble, and if Barrett can't move.
Yeah, and if you've been following Steve's picks all year, obviously, again, 4-0-1 last week, you've probably built up some bankroll coming off that huge week. But if you haven't and you're still looking to get in, it's not too late. You can always go to mybookie.ag and use the promo code LAND10, and that's spelled with the number, as you can see at the bottom of the screen here. If you want to get a bonus, put in some deposit money, they'll match your deposit up to 100%. And also, obviously the college football playoffs coming up, bowl season, college basketball is off to a good start. The NFL playoffs are coming up, so it's not too late. If you do have money involved, go ahead and keep betting on mybookie.ag. If not, go ahead and use this promo code, and we'll get you in there, and we'll get you a starting bankroll with the Wisconsin pick this weekend.
Yeah, MyBookie's the best. We both use it. We really do. We love it. Depositing money is super easy, which can be tough for an online sports book. Getting money off is super easy. User-friendly interface. You'll never have site crashes or bets not going through because of connectivity or anything like that. So we highly recommend it, and we hope you jump on board and make some money this weekend.
Yeah, and I think we've been giving you some picks from our dogs all year. And do we have those again this week for the Big Ten Championship game?
We do. Unfortunately, we got one dog on the shelf. Wesley, he's an older dog, hurt his back. May actually need back surgery. So
look out, Wisconsin.
Unlike
dogs on the shelf.
Unlike JT Barrett, Wesley couldn't join us this week for the picks. But Foster 8-4 on the season. Well, it depends where you consider where you got the Michigan line last week, but. So either 9-3 or 8-4.
You know Foster got the good numbers.
Yeah, he only plays good numbers, so we'll go with 9-3. So let's see who he's on this week. Dogs, man. Underdogs all the time. Underdogs. Underdog heavy for him. So that's always a good sign if you're on Wisconsin. He's been hot all season. Hopefully he can keep it going through bowl season, and maybe we'll get him in some college basketball too. Some marquee
10
games.
wins in the year potentially after this weekend.
Yeah.
That's great if you pick one game a week.
Yep.
10 wins.
All right, so I'm on Wisconsin. Let's take a look at the other picks I got this week, spanning for the first time this season outside the Big Ten. Auburn, Georgia under. That game sailed over last time, but it was a little fluky. I think defense will be the story here for both teams. Keep the ball on the ground. That game goes under 47. And then Memphis, plus 7.5. They got smoked by Central Florida when they met earlier in the season. But Memphis has been really, really good in the last month. Central Florida has been too, but not quite as dominant. Scott Frost looks like he's heading to Nebraska on Saturday afternoon, maybe Sunday, to take that coaching job. Only thing that scares me there is the total is 82.5. And anytime you have a total like that, it's very easy for the team to get outside a touchdown spread. So in a low-scoring game, you feel better about 7.5 than you do in a high-scoring game. But we're going to ride with the Tigers this weekend.
Yeah, I like both the Auburn, Georgia, and the Memphis picks. So if you guys are out there, we got some picks you're going to make some money on this week.
Yeah, and again, Wisconsin plus 6, plus 6.5. Might dabble with the money line too. It's conference championship week. Not a lot of bets to make, so let's throw a little on the money line too.
Let's do it.
Yeah. All right, folks, thanks for joining us. Again, use the promo code LAND10 at mybookie.ag. They will match your deposit. We'll be back next week to talk bowl season, bowl picks, but then we'll be taking a couple weeks off, and we'll be back for the college football playoff and the marquee bowl games. So thanks for joining us as always, and remember, gamble responsibly. We'll see you next week.